Thank you again for coming, I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming back.
Carter, have a good night.
Well, let's get into town business. Dissolve Town Building Assessment Committee.
Yes, I don't know if anybody else wants to talk about it, but Holly had sent me an email earlier in the week about if I wanted reappointment to that. And I indicated to her that that committee, when it was established, only met twice the first year and didn't meet any time since. And that, in my opinion, I didn't think the committee was useful now that we have a Buildings and Grounds Department. So I, deferred her to talk to Alan, because if in fact, Alan believes the committee had any value, then I would think he should be the representative of that committee. So, and he replied that, well, I'll just let him talk about his own reply, that, he kind of agreed.
Mr. Mayor, do you have something to add?
Yes. I did reply to Holly, and my view of the committee was that it was established originally to assess and determine what needs the town buildings had and move forward with, repairs and capital planning and work with the Board of Selectmen to do that. And my response to Holly was that now that we have a Buildings and Grounds department, I pretty much do the assessing of the buildings and report to the town administrator, which goes to the board. So if you have a buildings assessment committee, you're just basically redoing the process over and over, and it takes a lot of time. So if you wish to have a building assessment committee, I certainly would represent the Buildings and Grounds Department on that committee, but do we really need it? I think at least in my experience, this first budget cycle with the current TA, I really felt that it went well with me assessing the buildings and working with him to set a decent budget with what the constraints are of the town, and I think that process has gone well. So the committee hadn't been meeting and hadn't done a whole lot. We have made progress in that area with the Buildings and Grounds Department. So in my opinion, I think that at this time it's not needed. But
Okay, thank you. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to dissolve the Town Building Assessment. Unless anybody has any questions for Mr. Mayo?
Mhm. So I would make that motion to dissolve the
Building
Town
assessment.
Building Assessment Committee.
Okay, I have a motion of a second.
Second.
I have a motion second. Any discussion? I see none. Kim?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. Thanks, Alan. The annual appointments.
So,
Yes.
I have to recuse myself for the
Poll
poll
workers.
workers and whatever, but I also
gotcha.
would like to make a request to table the remainder, to move ahead with the town clerk's portion of it, because it's like a lot of people. But I would like to have more information on this spreadsheet as far as how many people are on the committee, when their terms are actually up, who's the new person, and what is the charge of the committee, whether it's, what statute they've been organized under. I just don't, at this point, when I looked at it, it seems like there are some people missing from some, and the town clerk appointments were not even accurate to what is on the sheet that I looked at. So that's just my opinion on this piece of it.
Yeah, and I would just add that, I think what's really missing from these appointment lists is for these committees, there are members that, you know,
Okay, was it okay for me to
are
say that?
representative, like capital planning is a good example, you know,
Mhm.
there's select board,
Do we have to vote
there's,
to
um,
table that?
advisory committee, there's treasurer, and there's members at large. None of those positions are filled in here, so we should have a good sense of, okay, this is a committee that has members appointed from another committee, yet there's been no appointment. So, I mean, I think seeing that big picture is good for us, as well as giving transparency to the public that, you know, this is what the committee's makeup should be, whether or not, you know, a particular person may or may not be needing appointment. So I think that goes right along with what Diane is saying, that we should see the whole makeup of the committee, not just what's getting appointed.
We're gonna table the boards and committees. I wanna just make a motion to approve the following individuals for election constables and poll workers, while remaining separate of the boards and committee approvals.
So you're looking at the town clerk's
Yes.
documents, is that correct?
Yep, the town
Okay.
clerk documents.
Okay, so I have a motion on the table to accept that. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? I see none. Cam?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. So, on the other boards and committees, you want,
Let's make a motion
like
to
Diane,
table that.
to table, I got it, but you wanna, Diane's looking for the charge for each board.
Mhm. And she also stated that there is some incorrect appointments on these documents.
Okay.
So we need to verify and vet them.
Okay. Alright. Alright, so we'll table this till, to our next meeting.
I forgot to add that I'm gonna work with Carol on that tomorrow.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We voted on Carol's, but we tabled the other list.
You tabled both?
Just,
This one?
Just the appointments, yeah.
we voted for the, not just this one, we tabled this one.
Okay, so I'm gonna work on that with her
This one,
tomorrow.
yes. Yeah, because I'm not sure with it, I mean, I'm sure we have a
Okay.
folder or some type of book with a charge for all
Yep,
these
I saw
boards,
it,
I'm
yep.
assuming. Shame on me for assuming.
Oops, sorry.
Transfer common vic license for Reno's Pizza. Purpose.
You can just sit in front.
You can just sit
John.
right there, it's fine, just right. How are you? Good to see you. Yeah. So, obviously, we're here to change over, the common vic license. Do you have anything to add? I mean, are you guys are okay, I would assume?
We're okay, yeah.
And everything was done, so.
Now, I have the question, do you guys actually sell any alcoholic products out of there? No?
No.
Okay.
Okay. I can entertain a motion at this point.
Is it
Hmm?
a changeover or just like?
Yeah, it's a change from you, Chris, to,
I make a
Listen.
motion to approve the change to the common trawler's license to Sam and NK Inc. Osama, I can't pronounce that, manager DBA Reno's Pizzeria, 132A Patriots Road, East Templeton, Mass.
a motion of a second?
Second.
A motion of a second, any discussion? I see none. Kim? Diane?
Yes,
Doug?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Who's got the original?
I have it.
Okay, great, thank you. Also, thank you so much. See how easy that was? See you all nervous all day, look at you. You're all nervous. Thanks, Chris, thanks for coming in. Good luck to you, good luck to you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you so much. Thank you. And have a good one. Thank you.
Scholarship Committee? Did John make it? No? Thank you so much.
So
Scholarship Committee, yes, Cam?
just to speak on that, I had reached out to Worcester State, and I have a teleconference with their comptroller and the department head of financial aid to kind of figure out exactly how they process on their accounting end and how they kind of translate their scholarships and grants, to see if there's anything that we can do to kind of change the current status of this in management terms. So that will all take place tomorrow, so I'm kind of on the edge. I mean, we can table this till next week when I have more information, really report on it.
Okay. Do you guys have anything to add?
Well, I thought maybe we were, well, until, you know, Cam kind of comes back with his, when I looked at it, there were really no changes to this, and it says, the Town of Templeton Scholarship is available to all Narragansett high school seniors, but that is not,
Nope, this is
And-
part of the change.
accurate, that's changed?
That's being changed, yeah, the law,
Okay,
this
so I
is just
guess
a draft.
I
This
would
is
like to, who's making, the,
I'm making the
who's
changes.
making changes?
I'm making the
Okay,
changes.
so,
But I was waiting to hear back from some of the
Okay, so
members, so I'm just
I
waiting.
guess I'll have to wait
I'm
then.
just waiting.
Okay.
But, so we'll table this to next meeting?
Yeah.
You okay with that then? Diane, you okay with that? And hopefully, did you talk to Mr. Brooks yet as well?
No, I have not. I haven't reached out to him with any of the relevant,
Okay.
that's waiting for the meeting to really take place.
I
before
did
can
talk to,
Okay.
John Brooks.
Yes.
Prior to the last meeting, and it's not in, this particular packet, but he had given,
The written notes, yes.
yeah, so it's a matter of, you know, I don't, he said to me that was all they had available to him, and he thought that you found this possibly on the website, but that it is available to everyone, and, you know, I don't know if I think he was thinking that we would make changes and that he would go back to his committee
Exactly.
and then review
Yep.
it, and then say yes, no, and then come, it might take a little bit of,
That's exactly what I'm looking
back
for.
and forth, but, okay, so
And
that's
since this
really
year's
what he was
scholarships-
saying to me.
And since this year's scholarships have already been out, so we
Awarded.
have some awarded, so we do have some time for next, that's why we wanted to start it early.
Okay.
Alright, so it's next meeting on that. And obviously, any input that you guys have, I mean, I welcome it. Will be great.
I'm gonna recuse myself from this next item.
You are.
I am.
Oh, are you driving?
No?
Oh, you,
Mac and Cheese Festival and use of the van drivers. Who's, hi, come on up. How are you?
This will be our third mac and cheese festival, on the Common this year.
Yep.
And we've run out of mac and cheese the first 2 years. So, there are a limited number of restaurants in the area. So we've had to go to local clubs and organizations and churches, and they are coming through.
Okay.
It's a wonderful thing. We have 12 different places donating mac and cheese for this event, so we won't run out of mac and cheese. But in order to transport the food safely, we would like to request the use of the COA van and a COA driver.
She's speaking about the
Meals on Wheels truck.
Okay. She got stuck.
Tied to my chair. Meals on Wheels van.
Okay, thanks.
Meals on Wheels van.
yeah, thanks.
And in order to do this would keep the food at a safe temperature, and we would rotate our pickups so that the food would be continuously hot.
They have rented 2 warming ovens, also to keep the food hot and at the correct temperature in the food tent. But transporting it from the restaurants and the different organizations is going to cool. Picking it up at 2 or 3 different places. Said Gail had asked me about using the Meals on Wheels truck, and I said, we have to ask the selectmen.
Do you have any issue with it?
I don't.
Okay.
And then, one of the employees has volunteered to drive the vehicle and they have, volunteered to pay the gas.
Okay,
So at no expense to the town? That's all.
yeah.
I would have been for it either way. I think it was
So
a
would
great
I.
event. I mean, last year I attended,
So
and
would
I thought
I.
it was a great event. Anything to support you
Are you
guys.
gonna be Superman this year?
I might as well. I can show up as Superman.
Don't give him
I
any
already,
ideas.
I already look sort of like Clark Kent, right?
Well, we still need people to help in the food tent.
I'm sure you're gonna get a lot of help and support this year, and, so I'll entertain a motion to obviously approve the Meals on Wheels vehicle, and driver, at no cost to town, for driving, mac and cheese around.
No motion.
I'll second, but I do have a couple of comments. So, yay that you're growing, and that it's very popular. I think my only thing is that I went to Lori at the Board of Health just to make sure that she had signed off on this, and I asked who, like, the Serve Safe Kitchens were gonna be, but she said that Diana has a license, so I think just coming forward, like, in the future, just to have something from her or anyone else, like, we usually ask the police chief, are you okay with this, or, so just have, like, that extra piece of documentation was really all I was looking for, because there's no, it doesn't really say on here that Lori approved it, or, you know, I said to her, does everyone have, like, what were the restaurants gonna be, but it was a church, and it was, so, that's all, but I would have said yes either way, because it's great that we bring in the community together, and, you know, that's wonderful.
Every single organization that we're using all have Serve Safe.
Yep, she had told me that, but it was just more kinda talking through with her, she goes, oh, no, we're fine, so, you know.
And the drivers also, because obviously he does, is this the same driver that does the Meals on Wheels, or is this a separate
No,
driver?
it's
It's a separate driver.
Okay, all right. All right, great, good, thank you. I have a motion, do I have a second?
I second it.
Motion, second, any discussion? I see none, Kim,
Yes.
Diane,
Yes.
and I vote yes as well, and I will see you there. Yes, I'll be there, 8th,
I'm sorry.
Saturday. The MRPC Green Community Grant.
Yes,
Hi,
that's me.
how are you?
Good.
Good to see you.
Go ahead.
I'm good to see you.
Karen Chapman from Montechusett Regional Planning Commission. We have an opportunity to help out communities become a green community or assist with communities that are already green communities. It's a municipal technical assistance grant. You expressed interest in becoming a green community, so we're willing to help you out if we get the grant.
John,
Yes.
through you, could I
Yep.
have an overview of how does this, what's the benefit to our community, what's the, if we, like, what happens? I did do some research online, but I don't think I
A
was
lot of
quite
information.
clear on that.
So if you become, so there's 5 criteria to become a green community. There's, you have to have a, efficient vehicle policy, meaning if you buy new vehicles, they have to be more efficient than the one you're replacing. There's, an energy reduction plan that you have to do that's, different measures to reduce your energy usage by 20% during the period of the grant, which ends up being about 5 or 6 years. You have to adopt the stretch building code, which is an appendix of the regular building code. And so if you are designated, you get a designation grant, which for Templeton's population would be about $140,000 to $150,000, and you would use that to do different energy efficiency projects, whether it be you can replace your lighting, you can get new windows, you can address building envelope issues with weatherization, you could replace a boiler.
Okay.
There's a whole list of things that you can do.
So, the stretch code, like what kinds of things are, can you give me some examples?
The stretch code So it's an appendix of the current building code,
Mhm.
and it requires you to do the next step to make your building efficient. So you would have to have what's called a HERS rater. It's,
HERS.
Yeah.
Yep.
they come in, they test the building that's built to make sure that it scores above 65, and then you're good to go.
So-
It's, go ahead.
So basically, like the electrician will have its different electrical boxes to put in, or you can use the old nail-on ones, but they have the spray foam behind it, and spray foam where any core openings are in the hole, in the wood, you know, when they drill wood to wood to wood, they'll have the spray foam between there. There's some other stuff that the contractors would have to do within the stretch code as well.
And most building inspectors are familiar with it.
There.
Mhm.
I know Rich is, because Rich
Yeah.
is from my town, and we have it there. Several years ago, when the green community started, the stretch code and the building code were this far apart. Now they're practically together. So the cost to do the extra is about $2,000 now, where it used to be about $7,000 or $8,000 before. And it's something that would have to be accepted at town meeting. And the Department of Energy Resources is willing to assist with that.
Okay.
So I think, like
So-
Diana's point, I think that we're all, what benefit is this gonna benefit the people of Templeton and the community? I mean, just to make it more safer as far as being, I know, green friendly, but I mean, what,
Well, it will reduce your energy costs, number one, that's your bottom line.
right,
The goal of the grant is to reduce energy usage. The byproduct is you save money because you have more efficient processes.
okay.
And like I said, the designation grant is, they just give it to you. You're designated, here's your $140,000, go do projects. You know, and if you
And that's
don't
an
want.
annual, would be an annual assessment, I guess?
You have like 18 months to spend that money, and then they have a competitive grant period that's in March every year that you can go for more money.
Okay,
And just as an example, when Townsend was designated, we got $156,000, and we just got a $202,000 grant to do some work at the schools. So there's a lot of money there that they're willing to give.
the government, yeah. And the MRPC is that you guys are tracking this?
Right. So we help the communities become a green community, or ones that are already green communities, we help with their annual reporting, stuff like that.
Okay.
And what type of restrictions does it put on the town once you've become a green community?
Well, they would like you to become 20% more energy efficient in the 5 to 6 year span. They don't take the money back if you don't get there. That's specifically listed on the application, we will not take the money back. If you choose not to continue, you just don't continue.
So one of the criterion is the, like the vehicles and.
Yeah, don't even,
Right.
our rolling
Not
stock
to be
isn't the
mean or
best.
anything, but, there's no way, I mean, and we've just gotten, I mean, maybe the newer police
Well,
vehicles.
let me,
So how does that work? I mean, we have like 30-year or 40-year-old equipment.
so here's the thing, any public safety vehicles are exempt. You're not gonna replace a more efficient fire engine, you know, they just don't do that.
Yeah, so
It
what,
would be all the non-exempt cars, like, does your police chief have a car that's not used as a,
No,
does your highway superintendent have a car,
yes,
yes.
the regular car?
fire chief has a,
It's fairly newer too, so.
yeah, it could be. Yeah, so though,
You may not
so it's
have
not
many
like
cars on the
every,
list.
so
No,
we,
it's
so
not
if we,
everything.
do they make you, is there a requirement not make you to
If I may,
purchase a
I actually have it pulled up, the
vehicle?
5
I pulled
criteria.
that up too. So
Okay.
do they require you to purchase a vehicle in a certain length of time if you don't have that right now? Oh,
No.
oh,
The
okay.
and it's a policy, it's not a bylaw. It's
Okay.
a policy that you guys would make
Mhm.
that says, when we replace a vehicle,
Okay.
we will make it
So
more
it's just,
efficient.
okay.
That makes sense.
So the 5 criteria, if you guys wanna hear them, just for,
Okay, good. Send it.
so 5 criteria provided as of right sitting and designated sitting in designated locations for renewable alternative energy generation, research and development or manufacturing facilities, adopt an expedited application and permit process for as-of-right energy facilities, establish an energy use baseline and develop a plan to reduce energy use by 20% within 5 years, purchase only fuel-efficient vehicles to that point, and then set requirements to minimize life cycle energy costs for new construction. One way to meet these requirements is to adopt the new Board of Building Regulations and Standards stretch code. So you have to meet those, all 5 of those to be considered a green community.
So the first one that he mentioned, the citing of renewable energy, you have a wind energy bylaw, from what I saw on the website. That maybe have to be tweaked, because it's not as of right, it's by special permit. It's a simple thing, but.
But the MRPC will help us through this process.
Absolutely, we will discuss everything with you.
Yeah, so your scope of work is
Everything.
what was, okay.
Yes. And the main thing that we would need is a point of contact, because the third criteria, third or fourth one, where you have to do an energy baseline, so we would have to get all of your energy usage to
That'll
enter
be the light
into
department.
It'll be everybody, right? Light, water.
any,
That was like John
any
Driscoll.
town-owned
I
facility.
think I had asked you that, right?
Well,
Karen?
essentially, it's electric, propane, and fuel oil.
Yeah, so it'd be gasoline, diesel, electric, natural gas, and propane.
Alan probably knows all of that
How many did you- yeah, that's more than one person, no?
It's between John and Alan.
And Alan?
Yeah.
Okay,
Alan
there
will
you
play
go.
a role in it.
Okay.
Alan, have you done any lookup on the green community stuff? Have you done any research?
I have not.
Okay.
This is all new. I have been looking at it a little bit, but I haven't got that deep into it.
Well, one of the issues that's coming our way is, I guess, is a deadline, is that correct? For the grant
Yes.
proposals has to be in
Right.
by the end of the month?
Wednesday.
By Wednesday?
9 a.m.
By 9
We're pushing the
a.m.
button. Let me just say this, we go through this whole process, you decide you don't want to become a green community, that's fine. We don't submit the application.
Is there a cost to the town if you don't qualify, or
No,
if
they
you, okay, so it can't hurt.
No, nothing's, I mean, yes,
Is this one of the grants that, like the CDBG grant is being cut possibly by the president's?
No, this is a Massachusetts.
Okay.
that's a
only-
good question though, because a lot of those grants are being cut.
Yeah.
Because we can't get, that was my other question, and
Yeah.
maybe this is for Carter, because we can't get CDBG funds, is this something that we're not because of our, financial, situation?
No.
No,
It's not, okay.
I asked Mr. Eaton that when he at our last Economic Development Committee meeting.
Okay.
So either way, this is not gonna hurt the town or the
Right.
townspeople at all. In fact, and this might benefit our records by decreasing our energy usage, which will save dollars at the end of the year, or the end of 5 years with 20%. Okay, I see. Okay,
Like I said, this does not, tie you into applying. It ties you into us helping you see if you want to do it.
okay. Yes, Will?
I would recommend that as board, you should be looking at this. That's one of the things when we went into this building, that we knew that sometime in the future, there needed to be some energy efficient things done to this building. And there still are.
Mhm.
There's windows, these lights are not energy efficient, and they're costing us, and as you see, they go out on periodically, and I've talked to the janitor, and he's always replacing them.
Mhm.
There's a problem with the lighting, so that cost is probably pretty expensive right there, taking and putting better lighting into this building overall.
Yep.
I mean, there's other buildings also that need to take and end up, having looked at and also upgrade. I don't believe you've gone and put insulation in the attic in this building yet. It's a requirement for this type of building to have R60, which is 3 feet. There's no 3 feet of insulation in the attic. So, I mean, there's a number of things that can be done to this building as well as others. So I would recommend that if you don't do it this year, you end up looking at it, and I don't know if they're gonna be offering it in future years.
Well, thank you, Will.
So, I was gonna make a motion.
Yes.
Anyway.
Thank you.
So I make a motion to approve the agreement by and between the town of Templeton and the Montechusett Regional Planning Commission to move ahead with the META grant to be signed by the chairman of the board.
I have a motion. Do I have a
Thank
second?
you for coming and explaining that. I did my best to do a lot of reading, but there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot of information, and I felt that I needed to be here.
All right,
Thank you so much.
But, yeah.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I would second that.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion concerning it? I see none. Cam?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
I vote yes as well. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much
very
for
much.
coming. I really appreciate it.
Can I take the signed copy with me?
Yes.
The only thing that I have is a one marked draft,
Yeah, we
unless
don't.
you've got one.
I have
I
it.
brought the,
Oh, you brought it.
I brought the real one, and once we have Glenn sign it, I will send you back.
We're gonna need a
She's gonna
copy.
send us
Oh.
an original once it's all signed at the other
Yes.
end.
Just that one spot, right?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Thank
Thank
you
you
very
so
much.
much. Thank you. Thanks for
Thank you.
coming in. I really appreciate it. Oh, here we go. Cable contract. Where are we? Hey, how we doing?
We're doing fine.
Great. I'm doing fantastic.
Thank you for taking the time. On behalf of the Cable TV Advisory Committee, I'm pleased to present to you this evening the cable license renewal agreement with Comcast. The Cable TV Advisory Committee on June 1st voted to recommend to your board that you approve this and sign this agreement. Just a few changes were made today to the formatting and the table of contents, just to get the page numbers 100% correct.
Okay.
So it's different than what is in your packets, only in that regard. I believe our representative from Comcast, Mike Gala, is here as well, and I believe it's a good contract for us. We've worked hard on it since 2015. It's been a long row, but it usually takes about 3 years to do these contracts. And I think both sides got what they needed out of it, and as I briefed you last week on some of the particulars in the contract, and I'm glad to go over any of those again with you if you need. It's a good deal, and it helps us maintain the services and also helps boost the TV station's operating budget as well, which we need to provide services to the town. So,
Great.
if you would like, I will present it to you, and Mr. Gall is here to answer any questions as well.
Great. Wow. Anybody have anything for Mr. Gower? No? Any questions for Steve?
Nice job.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was a lot to read.
Yeah.
I've read it several times.
I'm sure you have. I trust you.
And I believe
They're
Mike
the
is
same, I
taking
think.
2 copies
Yes.
with you this evening, and they will return a copy once it goes through corporate.
Can I just?
There should be a formal motion
Yeah,
and
I'm gonna.
vote, Mr. Chair.
Can I take a motion?
I make a motion to approve the cable television renewal license granted to Comcast from the town of Templeton from June 12th, 2017 to June 11th, 2027, to be, this is being signed by all of us.
Yes.
Is that okay, then that's the end of my motion.
It's on, they're coming to you.
I'm sorry?
They're coming to you, the packets.
So, there's your first.
I have a motion. I have a second?
Second.
A motion, second. Discussion? See none? Kim?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Steve, great job. Mr. Gower, thank you for coming down. I really do appreciate it. It means a lot to the community, okay?
Thank you, Mike.
Did we skip item number H?
We did.
Do you wanna revisit that, or?
Yeah, we will revisit that. I'm sorry, I just want, I lined out the wrong line. My eyes are going.
I'm sure his name just put not present, so it's clear she wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah, that way it's,
Right in the date,
yeah, that way it's clear she wasn't here, not that she didn't sign, making it appear that she didn't sign the contract.
Thank you all.
You got all four?
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Steve.
Yeah.
Let's see here, create an economic development industrial corporation, EDIC. So we were briefed by, Mr. Eaton. And according to, Mass General Law, Chapter 121C, Section 2, the Board of Selectmen can actually, vote the charge for the EDIC. Did they get a chance to look at that?
I did, and it's a lot,
Yes.
and, I don't know, I feel like, we should, like, pick this apart a little bit more, and really, maybe we can do it at a workshop where we don't
Okay.
have 19 other things.
Understood.
As far as, I mean, I didn't really write down my questions, but,
That's okay.
you know, it's a matter of, how does this affect us, you know, having, you know, coming up with a game plan to, have forums with the community, and, you know, so this piece is approved by the Board of Selectmen, and then the, the board is, appointed, and then there are 2 other, warrant articles for, and then those people would have to bring, so I just
Yeah.
definitely, with all the other stuff that we had to review.
Well, the
it's-
warrant, right, okay.
It is, to me, it was a lot, I don't, you know, and Julie's not here either,
Mhm. That's
and again, I would like to see, you know, like,
Mr. Eaton?
is,
I
you
should
know,
have him back here.
public comment,
Sure.
or the public to hear that, and I know it was at one meeting, but I think that Glenn said he was a little bit rushed, and his presentation was almost a little too wordy, which is not like him. I mean, I've seen Glenn for years,
Right.
and it was just, I just feel like it should be broken down to be a little bit more simplified.
I rushed him because we thought initially that it had to go in
Well,
front of the people at an open town meeting, which in fact, based on the law, it didn't. It's up to the Board of Selectmen or
Yeah,
mayoral.
this piece of it, yeah.
Right, but as far as the other two pieces of paperwork for the, to
So
have
if you
it.
don't mind.
No, not at
you
all.
can please.
Yep, so we'll move this to.
Anybody else have any commentary?
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. I still think we need to have, you know, public awareness and public, you know, input and comment on it, because while this one action in itself isn't really that significant, it's the other actions that are gonna come after.
Mhm.
And there is gonna eventually be, you know, impact to, you know, the budget and, you know, the community.
that's my
It's all good stuff. I mean, I agree that it's good stuff. I just think we need to make certain that the public is aware of pros, cons, and has the opportunity to ask questions, you know, with somebody like Glenn, being present. So whether we do that as just a select board meeting, or we do something at,
Should we
you know,
send,
the school,
like, our questions to Carter? Like, write them down on the document, and then maybe, is that, I mean, I don't.
Yeah, you can do that.
Can we do that?
Yeah,
And then
absolutely, and
that
then
way
he'll get 'em to-
something could be compiled,
And I
just so
think
that we're
having,
not kind of just throwing stuff around.
having
or-
open meetings with the public and invite the public in with
Yeah.
Mr. Eaton here and, questions, and, you know, businesses can ask questions and residents can ask questions, and.
Is
and
this,
how's this gonna
a
develop.
draft that we,
I've made a note to get it posted, and I
yeah, on the.
can't remember
website?
if we obtained Glenn's PowerPoint presentation, but I will ask him for that, so that we
Maybe
can
he
get
could
that
whittle that
posted
down a
as
little
well.
bit.
Sure,
Okay.
I'll
Okay, great.
reach out to him.
I'm sh-
I've just, listen,
we're all on
he's
the
really
we're
good
all on
at
the
all
same
that, so
committee.
I'm not disparaging him in any way at all.
We've been talking about this for a year.
No, he said the
Always.
same.
It's been about a year. We've been going back and
Honesty.
forth, and we didn't know how to approach, you know, the people. We didn't know how to, because we didn't want them to be afraid. for-
Long down the road.
Yeah.
It's a good thing. I've spoken, I did speak with, Mayor Hawk. They have, something, they have this in, Gardner, and they're doing a lot with it
Well,
right
they're
now, but it's
full-time.
not just.
Those guys are
they're-
full-time,
I
too.
understand that, but, you know, the benefit, but again, the community, needs to be much more
Understood.
aware of that impact, so. I just
Okay.
made a note to send questions to Carter.
That'd be great. Vacation rollover requests. Okay, what do we got here? Do you wanna do each one individually, or do you wanna just do the, as a whole?
I think I'm not, I think we might have to do, each one individually, but I would like to, discuss, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, there's 8 of them, on here.
Mm-hmm.
And there are 2 that, don't meet the criteria, to roll over.
Okay,
And I'm just wanting to have a discussion about that, I guess.
yes, please. So, what's you wanna do each one individually then? Make it easy, or then the ones that you have discrepancy with, we can talk about?
Sure.
That's okay?
I don't know, it's whatever, I mean, if everybody read these, I guess I'm just saying that I'm torn with, I think that Mrs. Gibbs just talked about that, between setting precedent
Mm-hmm.
and following the policy.
Mm-hmm.
And, are we supposed to read these out loud? I don't really
Well,
wanna do.
if the board is, 6 of them clearly, well, to me,
Meet the criteria.
meet the
So
criteria,
can we just vote
or are
those?
for a conflict in policy.
Right.
And if the board is comfortable with that, you could approve the first 6 names on the memo for carryover as one single item, and then discuss the other 2, the reasons for the other 2.
Okay, so I make a motion to, do we have to read each
No.
amount of hours?
You can just say the first 6 as,
Okay, so I make a
presented in
motion
the
to
memo.
approve the first, 6 names, to roll over their vacation
as I would reference the
As-
memo, however, so you have a record.
in the memo as presented.
Okay.
Sorry, it's really hot in here and.
I have a motion for the
Dying.
first 6 individuals on this list and the memos that are set attached, meet the criteria. Is that correct?
Yes.
I have a second.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion with the first 6 names with memos attached?
Question, I mean, typically,
Yes,
we
Will.
end up having 1 or 2. This is quite a few. I mean, that's
Mhm.
extraordinary to have that many this particular time. Is there a pressing reason for all of them?
Yep, they all meet the
Ye-
criteria
yes.
of, excessive workload, or, constraints.
This is up for discussion right now, right?
The first 6,
Just
I have a
the first
motion and a
6.
second, and I do have, and a discussion is going forth, yeah, for the first 6. Do you have any discussion?
Yeah, so
Yes.
who makes these recommendations for the reason on these? I'm unfamiliar with the process.
I did.
Okay,
What I did was, about, I don't know, 3 weeks ago, a month ago, I asked for all the departments to submit their requests. Those were all due in last, whatever it was, Monday or Tuesday. And then I built this grid, pulled the personnel policy, pulled the union contracts, and then prepared this memo for your consideration.
okay, so it's coming from the department, or the employee to the department head funnels to you, and then you make the recommendation to us?
Yes.
Yes.
So, all right, so your seal of approval is on these then, for recommendation, I guess for the gentleman.
For the first
Or,
six.
Yeah,
yeah, or I took a dive on 2.
okay.
I only
Thanks,
need a
Carter.
motion for the first.
I have a
six
motion for the
now.
first 6 and a second. Any other discussion? I see none. Diane?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. And I vote yes as well. Discussion on the last two?
The question on the other two, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
is if you look at the strict reading of the policy, where they are required to forego their vacation due to excessive workload and personnel constraints. In one instance, the employee has asked for carryover due to an event that happens the same time every year, and it's well known in advance this is going to happen. Those activities happen, and that is the last employee that's on the list. The other one is that although it took a little bit of time to sort out exactly what the employee's time might be, by their own admission, they've asked for carryover for scheduling, so that they can schedule it at a time that they would most like. A strict reading of the policy would not appear to show that those two requests comply with the conditions for carryover. However, you're the ultimate judge.
What is the,
I'm sorry, Kim?
how long do these two employees work for the town?
I don't know their start dates.
No, so this isn't something, this didn't happen last year, correct?
No.
None of these
None
people
of this.
were on the list last year.
Nope.
Or the year before.
Nope.
Oh, wait, well, maybe one who's a long, long time employee. But of these two, no.
Okay.
So we have done in the past, and I'm only throwing this out there, it doesn't mean that I agree or not agree, that we have said we would allow a rollover, but they have to take it by a certain time. They're not given a lot of time to do it. So there's that option, or there's the no option, because it's directly in the personnel manual, and I think if somebody, wasn't, I understand the circumstances for one, but, so.
Okay.
So the comment I would make, and it's just a comment, is for the tenure when I've been on the board, now 4 years, going into 5, we've never denied any vacation rollover request. We have always had the stipulation that it had to be used within 30 days or 60 days, but we've never denied one.
I
In the last
would go
4 to
for
5
that
years.
as well. I mean, it to me, and this is personal opinion, I mean, never denying something for 5 years kind of gives that notion of, well, there is a lax policy on it. I mean, if we're trying to get into that policies and procedures and trying to hammer that down, there's really got to be some extenuating circumstances. But as is my first time, I mean, that's just an appointment or an opinion of mine.
In the years that we have done it, it was for, due to workload, not due to, I can't schedule at this time because X, or it's year end, or it's month end, or it's holiday, or it's not to, it's always, not to my knowledge.
It's
but
always been
again,
work related.
I don't know that we've ever
It's
asked.
It's always been
workload. Yeah,
workload
it was.
load
They
related.
came before us, like, not in a memo format, if I remember correctly. Like, yeah.
Like the individuals?
Mhm.
I think we got a memo last year. Didn't we get a memo last year?
So
No, I don't think so.
Luann came before us, and,
Oh, yeah, I got you. Yep.
I'm trying to think of who else, but
But these memos, I think, were especially
got
if they go through the recommendation of the TA, and then the TA gives his recommendation back to us, so
Well, he said no recommendation.
I understand that,
It's
but
up to
but we
us.
also make the determination collectively, so I mean, like you said, the precedence has already been set forward, so I would, I would entertain a motion that, to recommend, but would have to be used within 60 days for these two employees.
I'll go for that. I'll make a motion.
How do you feel, Diane?
Yeah.
On a motion? Okay, do I have a second?
Diane seconded
Oh,
it.
Carter was
Yes,
wanting to
Carter.
discuss.
I would respectfully suggest that, with respect to the sewer, if you want to let the person carry over, that you advise them that year-end close comes the same time every year.
Right.
Mm.
And in
No
the future,
surprise.
in the future, such a request might not be viewed favorably.
Understood, yep, understood. Who was up first? I'm sorry. Who? Will, you up first? Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I would recommend maybe looking at the personnel policy and amending it, because this has gone on a number of years. Like I said, this is unusual to have that many, but we've had that instance time and time again. And even in the public sector, there is, I mean, I had rollover of my vacation from one year to the next without penalty. You can limit that amount, but changing the policy, you wouldn't have to go through this procedure every year.
Was that
You could end up
public or
saying
private
a week or
sector?
two to be rolled over, depending on the amount of years allowed. As an example, somebody would got 5 years, they would be allowed to, they can end up only enrolling 2 years. With somebody with just 2 weeks vacation, they could roll 1 week.
No, I understand.
I mean, you could end up saying to that particular extent, so that you don't run into this every year and you have this debate.
Thank you. Diane, do you have something to say?
No, I already discussed that with Carter today.
Yes.
If we were going to do this, and since part is unusual, and these were, not the best reasons, that we should fix the policy because it happens.
It does,
So,
especially with
You
the
know.
devoted employees that we have here, yes.
right,
I respectfully suggest that, the people that request rollover for personal reasons, if you're inclined to give them that, put a memo out to all
Yeah.
town employees
I agree.
that in the future, hands down, this will not be allowed
Right.
because of the precedents you have set. But,
Ready for,
you know, in the future, no.
we
That
can-
way everybody's had fair
We'll just
warning.
have one amendment.
Well, that sounds nice, Mr. Chairman, except for
These two, yeah.
it's in your
already out
collective
there.
bargaining agreements.
Right.
And the provision is actually to benefit you, because it allows the management to say to people, we really need to ask you to forego your vacation. Are you willing to do that? We will let you carry it over. We are down 2 people in highway right now. So to have asked those people, to tell those people that to burn their vacation, 6 out of the 8 clearly met the standard from either the collective bargaining agreement or that was in management's favor. Certainly, we can look at whether or not carryovers make sense in general, given how generous the town is with awarding a vacation time. I'm not sure they necessarily do. But certainly we can do something to put people in a little bit of notice.
Okay. Sounds like a plan.
So the motion would be, that the vacations would have to be taken within 60 days. I would like to make a specific, I'd like to ask to amend that motion to August 18th.
Okay. That also includes the memo, is correct? Memo.
And to have the memos go with it, but to also do a memo in addition to just this, to, you know,
Members of all
company-wide.
employees.
Or we have to look at the personnel policy anyway, because
We do.
again, it's not, yeah,
Right.
sure.
Absolutely.
And
I got that.
And that would include advising the one employee that scheduling those
That has to be
tasks
done. Yeah.
Right.
doesn't meet the normal criteria.
Understood.
Neither does that.
Right, they
That.
both, yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
I have that motion.
Okay.
Have a second?
Well,
Yeah.
did Cam already make a motion?
He did. He made,
I'm asking if,
you want to amend?
you would amend your motion to include an exact date of August 18th instead of just 60 days, or?
If you wanna do a firm date, yes. we'll
Yes,
make-
I would like to. Is that all
Okay.
right?
So August 18th.
So I'd made a motion to add
Uh, I'll second that amendment.
Okay.
Thank you.
Deadline of August 18th.
With the memos.
With the
With
memo.
the- yeah.
Excellent, I have a motion, do I have a second?
Yeah.
I have a second. Any other discussion? Yes, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I just have a recommendation. It seems as though we have a policy that deals specifically with this issue.
Mm-hmm.
And rather than do all these, jump through this hoop, jump through that hoop for individual people who did or did not follow the specific procedures that are printed, why don't we just follow the procedures and policies that we have at present, which would make things clear to everybody at all times without these questions?
Well, we are, sir. In fact, the policy in place says that the Board of Selectmen have to approve all and any rollover as long as they meet certain criteria of workload related, meaning that if the highway department's down 4 guys and there's only 5 guys working, I'm sure those guys are working their tails off.
Yes.
So, to make up the time for the guys and the girls that aren't employed at the time. So, most of the issues are due to, workload related issues where they have to they don't have we can't give them, or they can't take their vacation at this time because of the extensive workload that's going on.
Now, isn't that directly not the issue with these 2 employees?
These 2 employees, to a certain degree, yes.
So maybe those should be the only 2 that.
But again, I mean, we try to do what's right for all the employees in the community. Not that we're bypassing any guidelines or regulation or deviating in any way. As a select people, we have the opportunity to look at all cases individually and see what warrants what based on what. There is some gray area, not a lot, and I think collectively, I think we can make a determination and decision based on the need of the employee, and hopefully, with the caveat that obviously the memos will follow suit, that this will not be tolerated, and this is specifically how it has to move forward, so everybody's on the same playing field. Because again, if this wasn't out previously, and the employees didn't know, it's like, if we didn't have a policy in place, how are they gonna follow it if it wasn't written? Now, what's written, there's some gray, I understood, you're right, but again, we're doing the best we can for all the employees. Okay, so a motion second, any discussion, yes?
I believe if moving forward in FY18, if we can get people's sick, personal, everything on their check, that will make this issue pretty much go away, because it's gonna be in people's face every single week.
As you and I,
It's done now, it's on papers
Right.
that we might get sporadically through the year. So if you're not really watching that closely, you're not gonna know that.
and who's watching that right now, Kelly?
It would be the former treasurer.
Okay, and obviously, at this point, none of the leave, vacation, sick time, personal time is on the pay slip.
No,
Okay, and we're still not direct deposit, right? We're not 100% direct deposit yet?
no.
Okay,
No, we're not even close to that. We
Not even
can't,
close?
you have to, that's not we have union contracts, we have.
no, I
you
got it, I'm
can't
just thinking outside my head,
So
so,
I would, if you don't mind.
yes, absolutely.
I would like to address Mr. May. There seems to be, or is, there are some places where we don't always follow policy and procedure, and I believe that we've stated that. But in this case, I believe I said right in the very beginning of the conversation that you're kind of torn. So if someone, either realized or had a personal circumstance where they couldn't, so if we say, oh, I'm sorry, I'm just hypothetically, you have 50 hours of vacation. Sorry, you can't have that. I understand why to do that, but are we gonna lose a long-term employee by doing that? So what's the cost in the long run? So that was partly my thinking, but yeah, we do have, it says that you have to come before the board. So I do understand that, but the other thing is that everybody knows what vacation time they get at the very beginning of a fiscal year, and I think that when I came in today, I was Kelly and I were kind of chatting in the private sector, at the beginning of a calendar year or whatever, when we were hired or however, we had to submit our vacation time, and it was either approved or not approved by seniority, so we need to have like some kind of procedure where that happens as well. So, but precedent has already been set where we've done this before, so, I
Understood.
prefer not to lose the employees, so.
I know, I got you, I'm tracking with you. Yes, Mr. Tanzini.
I think we're working this for a lot more than it's worth, with all due respect, because in 3 of these, if we had a full complement of employees, we had 2 resignations in highway. If you look at the amounts that they requested to carry over, 15 hours, 28 hours, we had to ask these 3 individuals to please forego their vacations so that we could try to keep up with things. This was for us. This was for our advantage.
That's right.
And the employees were kind enough to cooperate with us on that. In the next one, you may recall, working the way down the list, we have an employee out on FMLA, which is their right by statute. And we had another employee in that unit just retired.
That's right.
Tomorrow's their last day. And this person that asked to carry over 20 hours could have taken that vacation time, but it's the height of the building season, and we didn't want to leave the office stripped
Unattended.
clean.
Yep.
And so they're doing this for our advantage, for us. In the next employee, you have a conflict in the way you've written your policy. You say that you put the vacation time on their anniversary, and they can't carry it into the fiscal year. Their anniversary was May 1. So, I
That's
think
definitely a
that,
conflict.
I think that these, and on the top one, again, we lost a substantial part of the staff there. So I think that these are, at least for the top 6, were all driven either by a conflict in the language of the policy or in the town's best management interests.
No, I understood. Thank you. Yes, Alan?
I would just echo what Kelly has just said on the payroll sheets. As a matter of fact, it's supposed to be on the DPW Highway Department payroll because it is in their contract. I did have discussion with the former treasurer several times on that, so moving forward, I would certainly like to see it on their payroll sheets, on their payroll stubs. It is a way for them to track it.
Okay,
Just
all right,
let's vote,
that's good.
please,
All right,
and
so
just get
we have a
this done.
motion and a second already. Any other discussion? I see none. Cam?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Doug?
I'll abstain.
Abstain, great. I'll vote yes as well. Amendment to the service agreement with Collins. Mr. Tenzini?
This is an extension of time. Their contract originally was supposed to be wrapped up by June 30, 2017. However, we ended up devoting substantially more time on our end to other matters, and we didn't have the kind of time
Understood.
to put into this that we wanted. And on their side, you may recall, one of the lead staff members was out on maternity leave, and they needed to reorganize their staff a little bit. So this is an extension of time to perform to December 31, 2017. It does not change the amount of the contracts.
Great. I'll entertain a motion at this point.
Motion for?
A motion to extend the contract as written, and I believe it's going to be signed by the chairman of the board, correct?
Yes.
Oh, so moved.
Second?
Second.
A motion second. Any discussion concerning the contract with Collins? I see none. Cam?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Award the FY18 police cruiser purchase. Oh, thank you.
This, Mr. Chairman, the total price of the cruisers, $41,036, as you can see. And the leasing is within the limits that were authorized by town meeting. The maximum per year was $11,500. The actual will be $11,300 and some short change. The cap over the life of the lease was set by town meeting was set at $42,000. The price, the cap will be $41,036 and some change.
Okay.
We'd like to get this order. This will be booked against FY18. You would probably not see delivery until September, late September.
Who
Okay.
signs this order?
The chairman would normally sign this. And this is bought through the cooperative, the police consortium cooperative.
I make a motion to approve the purchase of the police cruiser and to have the order signed by the chairman of the board.
A motion to have second.
Second.
I have a second by Doug. Any other discussion concerning the police cruiser? I see none. Cam?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Do you have the original on this, Mr. Tenzini?
I do, I'm preparing that for your signature
Understood,
now,
okay,
Mr.
thank you.
Chairman.
FY17 budget transfers.
Well, I had not realized I was gonna need one. However, earlier today, I received the invoice from town council for May. It was substantial. If you wanna take this sheet that I put in front of you and turn it onto the back, I'll walk you through it quickly. We've got about $8,200 on hand. The invoice is about $15,000. This leaves us short by $6,800. Much of the shortfall is driven by three main items. Litigation, we had one job applicant file a complaint. We've got about a little over $2,900 into it. I was able to get the insurance company to defend this matter, so there'll be no more town council expense. However, you will have a $2,500 deductible to pay the insurance company at some point in FY18 or beyond. The second piece of litigation, the Day Hill Townhouse condos, were developed under a comprehensive permit granted by the CBA, which required that the property be developed with a proportion of the complex reserved for persons over age 55. Daymel now believes that requirement is illegal, and they filed an application with the ZBA to modify their permit. The ZBA denied their application, and Daymel has filed an appeal with the state. We have over 2,000 into this matter at this point. I believe we'll have some in June, and the balance hopefully into FY18. Finally, the town meeting. We had not planned to have the town council attend. However, the concerns of the moderator and then attendance of town council cost about $2,400. So this transfer of $10,000, if approved by the advisory committee, will leave us about $3,250. We'll do our very best to stay away from town council. I'm not sure we'll be able to keep the bill under that because of the litigation and one or two other matters. And I've explained in this memo why the monies are available for transfer in the highway department. It's the vacancies. You know, the options that we have and the possibility that I may be back. I will be discussing the litigation with you in executive session, but would ask that you approve this request and forward it to the advisory board.
So moved.
I have a second.
Second.
A motion, second. Any discussion? I see none. Cam?
Yes.
Diane? Doug?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Do you have the original on this one as well, Mr. Tenzini?
I do, and that one I can give you right now, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
I need, Mr. Chairman, to ask you to sign this one here and to initial the page behind it.
Sorry, Doug.
No worries.
Order of condition regarding lots 3 and 4 on Farnsworth Road.
Is George here? No, okay.
Anybody here?
This goes back a number of years, in which the settlement of this dispute finally resolved through court action signed off on by the Department of Environmental Protection, required the owners of the property to give easements to both the Town of Templeton's Conservation Commission and to the State Department of Conservation and Recreation. And it's all been finalized. I think the history was lengthy, but hopefully laid out in the documents that you saw fairly well. The Conservation Commission does recommend this, and I'm looking to see if it requires the signature of the entire board or just one representative
That was
of
the
the
motion
town.
to read. This one is restrictions for lot 4 and that lot 3 remain unbuildable.
Yes,
Okay, so we can just word it that correctly, and you're just not sure who it has to be signed by?
yep, it appears, I'll have to sort that piece out.
Oh, but that's fine. I make a motion to approve the restrictions recommended by the Conservation Commission on Lot 4, Farnsworth Road, Templeton.
Okay, I have
I'm gonna do them separately because they're worded separately,
a,
sorry.
I have a motion for lot 4, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
I have a second by Cam. Any other discussion concerning lot 4 on Farnsworth Road? I see none. Cam?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well.
I make a motion to approve the recommendation by the Conservation Commission that Lot 3, Farnsworth Road, Templeton, Mass. Remain an unbuildable lot.
Okay, I have a motion of a second.
Second.
I have a second, thank you. Any other discussion concerning lot 3 on Farnsworth Road at to be unbuildable? I see none. Cam?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Regarding drainage easement on easement on Barnes, Wellington Road?
As you know, Mr. Chairman, the town has a drainage pipe
Yes.
and discharge across the lands of the barns
Mm-hmm.
and discharges water onto that. They have, and we have no formally recorded easement for that. They agreed to grant to the town at no cost a perpetual easement to allow us to maintain this piping and discharge. This was previously discussed last fall, shortly after I first got here. And we're in a position where we can shortly go in and change that piping out. I think that Alan's been in touch with the school folks to get that material supplied and scheduled. But we do need to accept the easement from the barns in order to proceed.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve the grant of perpetual easement for drainage on the property address 23 Wellington Road, Templeton, Massachusetts, given by George and Maria Barnes.
Yeah, I have a motion, I have a second.
Second.
A motion, a second, any discussion?
Yeah, I was just wondering if that has gone before the Conservation Commission, because usually an increase of any type of water onto a property, they would get involved in.
You're absolutely right. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that during the evaluation and when they did the site survey for water drain runoff, all that was taken care of. Correct me if I'm wrong. Not only that, but obviously there's already a pipe in the ground already there. We just have to replace the pipe that's already there because it's full of dirt, I think, right?
Well, there's usually a file number
Yep.
that the Conservation has, and I have not seen them issue one yet for that particular drainage.
See them file an easement?
No, as far as increase in water, they would end up looking at that.
I
As a
don't-
former-
I'm
as a-
sorry, John.
That's okay,
Could
absolutely,
I speak to this,
absolutely,
please?
yeah.
After being on the school building committee for several years, the drainage is somewhat going to be done so that it goes underneath the school and soaks in. So there's not gonna be as much water, is my understanding, traveling through that pipe. But they are replacing that, is that correct? And it's not just, I get this feeling when people are talking that people think that water is gonna spew out all over the back of Wellington Road into Dudley, but that is not the case. When they explained it to me, they said there's gonna be like, what do you call that, subsurface? Where it's gonna be better drainage underneath and then very little, because there's also, there's a house across the street, I believe it's owned by the Ouellets, and the water sits there and it just completely runs into their driveway, into their, so that is also going to be taken care of.
The reason I bring this up is I was on Conservation Commission, and when you have a large area, such as the parking area for both of them, that's an increase in water. It doesn't flow into the ground because you're going into a drainage pond.
That's
And
not,
that's
well,
really what I'm talking about.
I understand, and
I
this
think
was
that we would
surveyed.
have to ask again for Mr. Glick to, those, honestly, that had all been
Done.
approved,
It
as
was.
far as
So,
I know.
mean, that was
so
all
I
been,
don't really know
it was,
what's
has been
going
all
on.
approved well, but thank you so much. And thanks, Mr. Yes,
I would just comment that is an existing drainage pipe, and regardless of whether there's more water that flows, the town had no easement and has to have
Right.
for anything else.
That
to
is
happen.
the request, yeah.
right. Okay. I had a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion second. Any other discussion? Any other discussion? I see none. Kim?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Drainage easement with a Old Royalston Road?
You have a easement from the Army Corps of Engineers. And it allowed you to, let me give you the exact language. That easement was a right-of-way for the installation, operation, maintenance, and repair of an underground water pipeline and necessary appurtenances thereto. The Army Corps came to discover that the necessary appurtenances actually included a 1,500 square foot concrete block building, as well as several pump vaults. They felt that that was expansive beyond what their language had allowed, and while they were willing to allow these structures and the vaults to continue to be present, they wanted to modify the original agreement to specifically include reference to those physical structures. The easement will still go till 2027. Nothing else is really being changed, other than specifying a 400-foot radius around each well site that can't be used for anything else. Each of these things is to our advantage.
It says
Yeah.
add, but then it says no.
But actually, in the end, they did
Just say
subsequently
including.
come back. Yeah,
Okay.
they did, in the end, actually come back. The town council asked for a couple of other things. They didn't go along with those, but I think in general, it's their land, it's their easement, you've expanded it. They simply want to reflect that in the agreement.
And this was the one that was sent out last year, correct?
This one's been going back and forth for a while, yes.
Okay.
March of 2016.
Yeah, I see that.
And this one would be signed by the chairman.
Is this
of
the one that
board.
Holly gave you the other day?
It is.
Okay.
Has multiple places to sign, so I would catch you tomorrow to
You got it.
get all of those.
I make a motion to approve the amendment number 1 between the Secretary of the Army and the Town of Templeton, Massachusetts, to be signed by the Chairman of the Board.
I have a motion of second.
Second?
Second. Any discussion concerning the easement with the Army Corps of Engineers? I see none, Cam?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. The dishonor check electronic payment policy.
I sent you all a revised draft tracking the changes that came out of our discussions at the workshop of, I believe, a week ago. And, you know, a few minor things that we had caught afterwards. It does strike the reference to trying to collect driver's license information. It requests, changes it so that the staff will ask the paying party for their telephone number, and if offered, we'll write it down. That gives the citizen a right to refuse. If that becomes a problem, we'll let you know. But I think it makes it a little bit softer
Like that.
to try to address some of your concerns.
Excellent. And the financial team is also, they went through this with you as well, I'm assuming?
I did not redistribute
Okay.
the markup.
Okay. And as far as it going, did we send a copy of this to the advisory committee?
I did.
Right.
I didn't realize you wanted to.
That's okay.
But I did send it this morning once it was, I was reminded about that.
Okay, thank you.
I make a motion to approve the town of Templeton policy number 2017-05.22, dishonored electronic and check payment policy.
Okay, I have a motion, I have a second?
Second?
A motion, a second, any discussion? Yes, Will?
Yeah, it recently came to my attention that there is a
Oh, sorry. I
check
forgot.
policy within the treasurer collector's manual that the treasurer collector should be following on how to take and end up addressing checks that are not, you know, they would
Insufficient
bounce,
funds. Yep.
per se, whether they're electronics or whatever. It's already in the manual, so you might want to, before you end up voting this completely, you might want to look at that and take a look at that. There may not be a need for you to take and write a separate one.
This wasn't in regards to just the treasurer collector. This is in regards to all entities within Templeton.
This is, well, all the monies would end up because I talked to an employee in another community. All the monies would be coming in from those other entities into the treasurer collector. And if they bounce, that would be the first place that they would end up bouncing. You wouldn't know at some other area, as an example, the town clerk wouldn't know if the check was going to end up bouncing or whatever. They wouldn't know that until they went to cash it. And the place to cash it is not treasurer.
So is the treasurer collector supposed to write down the telephone number on the check when it's received at the sewer department?
There was a procedure, and I said, I didn't.
What I'm stating is that
It's-
this was
it's
for the
quite-
town of Templeton.
It's quite lengthy. It's probably about 17 or 18 lines, individual lines, as to what the actual policy is. So all I'm doing is recommending that you might want to look at that. There's already one established. That's your checkpoint for any checks that come into the community, whether they come through the town clerk for a dog license, or storage department for payment or whatever.
Okay, thanks, Will, I appreciate it.
It's up to you. I'm just.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Hold on one second, Mr. May.
Yeah, hi, Mr. Chair. I just, before you voted on this, I'd just like to suggest a couple, or a little bit of a rewrite on a couple of these for consistency. There's places in here where you mentioned depository account, and financial institutions. I believe financial institutions would cover all those and gain some clarity for the party reading this. Also, under 2(5)(a), well, multiple sections on this, you have various methods of saying of sufficient funds or other reason in the account of the paying party, and the like, all the way through. Different versions of that, which would all be substituted for non-payment. You know, for non-payment would cover those all in, you know, easy detail and be consistent. for D on number 5, it states the offender. I personally, as a tax-paying citizen, find that insulting to call a payment issue, call me an offender because of a payment issue, whether it's mine, the bank's, or whoever's. And I do think that just a suggestion, rather than return receipt requested under the certified mail aspect, it should be a signature, because the certified mail aspect is a big problem in today's world with our bankruptcy courts, our small claims courts. They send out notifications to people all the time with incorrect addresses, who have moved out of state and so forth. The case proceeds, the party has paid the filing fee, yet there's no person to actually gain any of the fees from. By the signature, we save that step and the fees for the court if there is nobody. But I just think there's some rewrites that could be done for clarification, and I think it should be reviewed before it's signed off. My personal opinion.
Okay, thank you, Mr. May. Kelly, did you have something to add?
Well, I just wanted to clarify that yes, all of the checks do come to the treasurer and are deposited into the bank accounts, but when checks are returned to the treasurer, she makes a copy of that, he or she makes a copy of that, and it goes directly to the department, because the department is the one that ultimately took that check. And it's their responsibility to figure out where it came from, who they were, and to receive the money back. It's the department's responsibility, not the treasurer's.
Okay,
I just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you. One second. Yes, Dave.
Does the town get a charge for return check?
Do we get a charge?
Do they charge our account, the town's account?
No.
No.
Good question.
Also, Mr. Chairman, I
Yes.
don't want to lose sight of the fact that the sewer payments do not in any fashion at any time
Come here.
come to the treasurer collect.
Right.
But they would be mandated under this policy, correct?
They would have to, we'll have to remind them that they're part of the town, but yes.
We all have to work together.
John,
Yes.
further for Mr.
May.
May,
Yeah.
it says E is paying party, so we can just change offender to paying party. Working in a bank, you were called that in a policy, unfortunately, so I skipped over that, but it does say paying party down here, and we can make a change to paying party
Versus
up
offender?
there.
Payee would work even better.
Okay. Okay, Miss,
Right within the treasurer collectors thing, it does say that they are the ones that collect and process any bad checks per se. It doesn't say anything about giving them back to any departments.
I understand that. I understand.
Okay, I'm
I
just
understand. Thank you.
pointing that out.
Yep. I really appreciate it. Okay, I have a motion, a second. Obviously, can you amend your motion to change and modify?
To change to D from offender to paying party,
Yes.
and it will be signed by the chairman of the board
Do I have a second?
after the change, and an original.
Yep.
I second the
Okay,
motion and
great.
the amendment.
Any other discussion? I see none. Kim?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Thank you, Mr. May. The special financial report.
I'll defer that to Kelly. I did prepare a draft letter for the board to sign explaining what this special edition was. But I would leave the balance to the accountant.
Good evening, Kelly.
Good evening.
Can you give that to Carter? That's from Mr. May.
So in the prior 4
That's from Mr.
years,
Thank you.
annual town meetings, there has not been financial information for the treasurer or the accountant because the numbers were not correct, as we all know. Now that we have good audited numbers, we know that everything is in balance for those years. I have put together a subsequent town financial report for those 4 years. It has both the treasurer and the accountant's portion. I reviewed the bylaw policy with Mr. Terenzini. We went over what the requirements that are to be in the town report. In prior years, there has been lots of additional stuff put in the reports that were not required by the bylaw. So in this report, you will see what is required by our bylaw, so that we're staying in with what it requests must be in the annual town report.
Great. Awesome.
I did send it along, once we had it, to the advisory committee. Mr. Spring told me that they would not be able to take it up until the 21st of the month. So I did tell him that I would advise you of that, and I leave to you what you wish to do with that.
So if well, how can we approve it if they haven't reviewed it?
It's not their report, it's
Oh,
yours.
okay. So it's already.
There are 2 pages of it that's a rewrite. The annual report did have a page that was not correct. We have redone that for clarity and conformity with the bylaw. But the balance of the report, and certainly the cover letter transmitting it, is your document.
So I guess my only question is that salaries were left off.
Yeah, they are
I
not-
had asked about that,
They are
and
not
Mr.
required.
Markle said that it was fine, and there was a lot of outrage about that.
That has been put in prior editions of the annual town report.
Yeah.
But it is not required by our bylaw, so that has been left out of the report.
That was my only question.
And salaries, or all of that information is by department on the budget, so you can
Okay.
see that information there.
Okay. Yes,
Mass
Mr.
general
Spring.
law also calls for certain things which supersede bylaws.
Yes, yours.
Be aware.
Yes, thank you.
I'm glad we're doing it as one supplemental report for all the years, rather than having
Yeah.
multiple.
No, I think this is great. I think how Kelly and the TA, I think I applaud your efforts on how you handled this whole process, through the audits all the way, and how we presented the audits to the people, how this report is, this special financial report has been generated, and I think this is gonna go leap years to the people.
So this will be getting a fall town meeting? Or-
So
No, this
Kelly,
is gonna
thank you.
be sent out.
Depending upon your timeline of action, this would go, we'd collect signatures over the next day or 2.
Yep.
On the cover letter, subject to any changes you want. And then it would go to the printers and be done by the end of this fiscal year, so we can get it paid for and make it available.
Okay.
So, because I didn't hear Mr. Spring, something supersedes our bylaw?
Mass general law.
So Mass General Law says what? I just wanna make sure that, again, there was a lot of outrage about, are you talking about
So Mass general law
salary?
supersedes the bylaw, and Mass general law says specifically salaries need to be in the,
There's certain things in there,
I'm not saying-
I can't remember verbatim, but
Okay.
there was other
Okay, well, I'll
requirements other than what the
But
bylaw.
as far as I was concerned,
we're
this is fine.
we're validating it, right? Can you check that for me?
I am.
Thank you so much.
I make
Just
a
so I can
motion.
clarify.
Yes, yes, Will.
Just so I can clarify, we were unable to take and end up processing some of the stuff that was given to us because it was like 2:30 in the afternoon, the day of our meeting, and there was no time for us to get to review that material sufficiently at our meeting, so we put it off to the
I don't
21st.
Well, most of
Oh,
these
it's
reports,
here.
like the TA said, I mean,
Actually,
obviously this
it's
is
here.
the selectmen's report concerning
This
the
is
audits,
fine. This was
the
fixed,
results of the
right?
audits
Yep.
based on,
They don't
13
like
all the way
I'm
to
not talking
60.
about
They don't
just
like
that,
it.
I'm
Oh,
just,
I'm
the whole
sorry.
packet that he gave, we have not had sufficient time
Okay, so the-
to even go through it.
The
Okay.
advisory committee, their report was wrong, and in here,
It
it
was
is
corrected.
now correct.
Yes.
So, and these are just the audits, correct?
Correct.
They're the actual audits, so there's really, We can't change them.
No.
They are done by the auditor.
Audit company.
So, I'll make a motion to approve the special financial report as
Should
presented.
we double check the Mass General Law though to make sure nothing's missing that it requires?
I'll be here tomorrow. Can we just, I thought Cam was looking that up.
He is, but, I mean,
Maybe it's really slow over there, Cam?
Well, there's 120 chapters to go through. Making as fast as I can.
But,
If it needs to be in there, can I just, I'm making a motion to approve it as is.
okay, I got a motion of a second.
Second.
I have a motion of a second. Any other discussion
Let me see if
concerning
fix it.
the new, Town Temple Special Financial Report? I see none. Kim?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Awesome job. Seriously. Board and staff comments?
Yes, I would like to, okay. So, why are there, because I read, why are there no public comments on here? I thought it was just a mistake at one point, and then, we've had so much, going on, so.
I think it was because there was so much going on, that's why it was.
Okay, but they should be on there, because it's in our policies and procedures. But again, I thought it was just a mistake, but it hasn't been
Nope.
on there for, I don't know how long, I apologize, I don't really look, I read all the packets
It's been like
and they've been
about
lengthy.
4 months now because.
Okay, could we put them back on, please?
Yes. Yep. Well, and again, because everything was so, there was so much that we were doing, that's what the purpose was.
However, in a workshop, could we talk about how that happens?
Yeah.
And again, I know that we were looking at the, policy and procedure, and I
Yep.
think, you know, technically, well, anyway, can we discuss that at a workshop?
Sure,
Thanks.
sure can. Any other public comments? Yes, Kelly?
I have a comment that I need for you to be aware of. I had applied in Phillipston for the part-time town accountant
Mm-hmm.
position. I currently have another part-time job in Connecticut, and I drive 3 hours round trip to that job. So this was a great opportunity for me to be able to have a part-time job locally. I think I've excelled here in the town accountant, and I believe I could do the same thing for Phillipston. They called me Thursday. I had an interview today for that position. They will let me know tomorrow. At this point, it's not going to affect anything here. Lots of people in town hall have part-time jobs, but because it is with another municipality, and there has been so much questions in the community about that, I wanted to come and set the record straight that yes, this is what's happening. As soon as I know tomorrow, I will send an email to the selectmen so that you will know the outcome.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
Excellent,
Thank
good luck. I mean, hopefully you'll do well there.
I just wanted to bring up a
Yeah.
quick point of interest. For our town website, I'm going to look into exactly what we can do for realms of possibility with the town website, and hopefully I'll have something to report for you guys next week at the workshop.
So, just so you know, we are codifying our bylaws, and they have a website that is way better.
Mm-hmm.
Way better, and you can actually search it, you can upload minutes, it's pretty easy, and I think that will be a better option for us in the
Mhm.
long run.
Okay.
So, whatever we can, it's confusing for me to go on there and,
Yeah,
find
no,
stuff,
like I said,
so-
I'm going to look
Okay,
into
thank you.
options. That's all I'm gonna do, and just kind of
but I
dig
just
around.
wanted you to know, because weren't aware of some
Yep.
history, that I liked their website, and we sat down with them, and I forget her name, but she gave a presentation here, it's amazing.
Okay,
So if you wanted to just ask Carol, and she could probably point you to just where to look at that.
certainly.
Okay, anything else?
Oh, and just
Yes.
something kind of put in motion for the advisory committee, possibly, and then for the next agenda, maybe a discussion of like a representative for the Board of Selectmen to attend advisory board meetings, to kind of give them feedback or anything like that if they have questions, so that they can report those back to the board, or anything along those lines. And that would be something that maybe Will Spring we could work with on, having somebody present at the advisory board meetings from the Board of Selectmen to answer any of your questions and kind of be our point of contact, so you don't have to come chase us down, we can just.
Because there's things that not necessarily are we aware of
Mhm.
that you have talked about.
Understood.
So I think it'd be to the benefit of you guys to have somebody there.
Just if I may, Mr. Chairman, the website that we have was done by a group, a firm, that has majority of the websites in Massachusetts, they end up having different packages, and they do the packages how the community wants. Unfortunately, we didn't pick a good package. There are other communities, if you look, have much better packages than us.
And they're also .gov linked as well.
That's why.
.gov linked versus .org.
Yep.
Yeah, no, these are things that I'm kinda hoping that,
I'm just
Cam
pointing that
can
out,
look
that
into
this-
as well, just to see
We
where.
have a good option there too
Yep.
also.
Yep, I mean, he's the youngest and brightest, so hopefully he'll come up with,
I don't know
look
about the
at
brightest,
something.
but I am the youngest.
Do we go into executive session?
Mr. Chairman, given the hour and the amount of time I think it's going to take, I expect it will be at least an hour and a half between the strategy for contract negotiations and the litigation I need to brief you on.
So, why don't
I would ask that you consider recessing this meeting until 5 p.m. tomorrow night. I do expect you may be taking a vote coming out of the executive session. So if you think that approach makes some sense, you would recess till 5, you'd open in public, you'd reconvene in public, go into the executive. As I say, I would ask you to plan an hour and a half. And then you would come out possibly for a vote. You would certainly come out to adjourn, but I do want the public to be noticed that there might be a vote coming out of that executive session.
Understood.
I make a motion to recess until tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Or I will pass out in my chair.
We're gonna recess until, do we have to do a can't call a vote for, we gonna do a roll call vote
Yeah,
for that? For a recess?
I would.
Okay, roll call vote for recess, I like it, okay, I have a recess motion, do I have a second?
Just to double check, I gotta punch this in. It's 5 o'clock tomorrow. Tomorrow?
5 o'clock tomorrow.
Oh, we already talked about that, didn't we?
And I do anticipate it'll take about an hour and a half.
Okay.
I would
Yes.
second that motion.
Roll call
I
for
have a
yes.
motion and a second. And Cam?
Yes.
All right, any other discussion? None, Cam?
Yes.
Diane?
Yes,
Doug?
Yes.
I vote yes as well,
I really feel like nauseous.
and recessing till tomorrow at 5 o'clock.